Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of A This and That. My name is A This. That's one of my names. Thank you so much for being here. This is a new year. It's like 2024. And we are back. Now, I know for those of you who have been following along, you were like, wait, what's happening in December? There's no episode. Friends, life. I planned to do an episode in December, but due to a few reasons, let's just charge it to life. Due to life reasons, I wasn't able to post that episode. And so do not worry, because that's what you're getting. But anyways, I hope you all had such a fantastic holiday. I personally did. I hope you all were able to see friends or family or to feel some holiday love in one way or another. I hope for those of you who are my Kenyans, I hope you are able to eat some chapati, fam. You know what I mean?
Get the chapati, fam. You know what I'm saying? Chapati. We're talking about chapati, fam, innit?
Some chapati. Yes, but I'm so excited. It's a new year. Excited for 2024 and to see what this year holds for us. So, the episode that that was supposed to be the December episode, because we weren't able to post the December episode, that's gonna be the January episode. I think it's still relevant because it's kind of a reflection of how 2023 was, and what better way to start the new year but by reflecting on the past year and saying, hey, this is what we learned in the past year, and this is what we're taking into 2024. So that's our episode of today. I hope you enjoy. I hope you learn from all the reflections that were shared. I personally learned a lot just shooting that episode, and I was so grateful for those of you who are able to share your experiences. So thanks, friends. Enjoy. Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of A This and That. My name is A This. That's one of my names. Thank you so much for tuning in yet again, one last time before we wrap up this year. This is a very special episode because, as I already told some of you guys on Instagram, first of all, if you don't follow on Instagram, please do. If you are actually active on Instagram, the handle is A This and That. But anyways, handle is A This and That. Please follow, engage with me there. This is a very special episode to me. It's more of a reflection episode. And so I'm just going to be reflecting on how this year has been, what I've learned, the biggest takeaways, or the biggest lessons. And so I actually posted a prompt on Instagram. So make sure you follow so that you're part of this, to invite responses for what was people's biggest lessons of the year, or something they learned, something they're grateful for. And I got a lot of responses. So for those who responded, thank you so much. This episode is dedicated to y'all. But also for those who are here to just learn from other people, thank you for being here and thank you for being open to learning. This year has been a long one. In many ways, it feels like it's been long and short at the same time. I feel like when I think about the fact that 2023 is over, I'm like, oh my gosh, already it's done, period. We're going to 2024. And it's like, where did the time go? But at the same time, if I really think about it, and yeah, it's been a long year. For me personally, if I think about where I was at the beginning of this year and where I am right now, so much has happened in between. It's like worlds have happened in between. And so there's been so much life in between January and December of this year. And this and that did not even exist in January 2023. I knew it would exist, to be fair. That's a planner right there. It's me. But I just like, it's actually so crazy to think about everything that has happened this year, whether in our personal lives or even like in the world. There's so much that has happened this year, whether from the geopolitical point of view and is still happening, whether from the entertainment and pop culture point of view. So much life has happened this year. And I just want to, as we close the year, have an episode where we actually reflect, actually think about it, actually talk about it. So I wanted to start the episode by reading some of the responses I got about what was people's biggest lessons of this year. Okay, so let's start. The prompt was, this is actually how I wrote it. As I reflect on this year and everything I've learned, I'd like to invite you to do the same. So by the way, please do. The theme of this month is reflection, and I will do a reflection episode. This is that. Where I will be featuring answers to your question. And the question is, what's something that you learned this year that completely changed your perspective on life? The first reflection I have here is, I learned that I should learn to trust myself more. I've relied a lot on other people's advice and opinions in my life when they don't see the full picture. Most of the time, I've known what is right for me. I like that. Lack of trust and faith in general has also led me to have really bad anxiety over things I can't control. I've struggled to enjoy the moment. Trust is going to be a big word for me in this coming year. I want to trust God and the universe to align me in the right path. I want to trust myself. I want to trust my intuition. And I want to trust the process of becoming me. That is so cute. I really like this reflection for a lot of reasons. One, I like this idea that I want to trust myself and I guess my inner voice, especially because the person is, I have often relied on other people's advice when they don't see the big picture. Now, I think it's always good and helpful to invite a third eye or a second pair of eyes or like a different perspective or something. Because at the end of the day, especially like people who've had more experience, or maybe just like sometimes it's you're so caught up in a situation and it's like when you have somebody bring in a different and like an outsider perspective, it always helps you to zoom out and get out of the thick of it and say, that's very interesting. I never thought of it that way. So I really think that. But at the same time, I think I'm also coming to appreciate that. And this person says trust is a big word for them in the new year. I think for me, that's actually a lesson I've been learning lately of just like trusting, especially self, like listening to my voice. And this, my perspective might sound a bit more sinister than this one or a bit more cynical. But I learned that I don't have the full picture. True. Neither does anyone. So even when other people are giving me their perspective on things and they're trying, even people who have more experience technically, I've realized like a lot of the time people just have trust that this is probably the best thing, but they can't say for sure. So I really love that for you, this person. I really love for you that this year you're going to embrace trust. I really love for you that you want to trust yourself. And I hope all of us can embrace that. I hope all of us can begin that journey of trusting in ourselves. And at the same time, I think it's also helpful to still lean on other people and especially seek wisdom from other people. Because again, there's nothing new under the sun. I think it was James Baldwin that said, you think you've suffered or you think you've felt pain or you think you've experienced like the craziest thing ever. He didn't say it like that, but that's the spirit of it. And then you read, which means, and then you learn about other people's experiences and you're like, wow, we're all going through the same thing. And so I think there's still some beauty into learning from other people's experiences and seeking other people's advice. But yes, honestly, everyone is just winging it, to be fair. No one really knows what's going on. Humans are so adaptable. So even when you don't know how things are going to turn out, you're going to adjust. I think humans are more adaptable than we think. Life is more resilient than we think. And life finds a way. Okay, the next reflection. This person says, I love this answer, by the way. This person said, I can further expand. They didn't, but thank you for the offer. It's the thought that counts. But on the quickest, work is not everything. Live your life. Also, love is never the wrong answer. This is such an iconic answer, as all of them are, by the way. But yes, first of all, work is not everything. Whether that work is like actually work, like a job, whether it's like schoolwork, whether it's like housework, whatever the case, honestly, work is not everything. I think especially as we live in this very capitalistic system, it can often feel like all we're good for is production of the highest value. And that often looks, if in the context of a job, it often looks like working yourself to the bone, making sure you're the first one at work, making sure you're the last one to leave. You're the person they can call on the weekends, on Friday night, at 5 a.m. in the morning, always available, always there. I think especially in a capitalist system, we receive this messaging that your value is as good as the labor you produce. And I've been thinking about this recently. Those videos of, I think there's a bunch of different ones, but there's always these people who have microphones and they're walking down the street and they're asking, especially like older people, hey, blah, 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 this is what we're doing. I wanted to ask you what's one thing you regret from your younger days. Or I've seen a few nurses who work in like a hospice care homes, and they're like, what's one regret you've heard from people on their deathbed and something. It's usually a variation of, I wish I didn't work so hard, I wish I didn't stress too much about things, I wish I poured more into myself, I wish I poured more into my relationships, I wish I kept in touch with my friends. Hardly anyone says, I wish I worked harder. I wish I was the first one in the office and the last one to leave. That's not the case. And so I think, again, that's not to say you should slack off and not do your best. Absolutely not. But truly, work is not everything. I think life is long and short at the same time. And personally, when I'm on my deathbed at 90, hopefully, knock on wood, I want to be able to say I lived my life. I have this one life and I have to split it between work, fun, hobbies, this and that, friends, family. Like I have to split myself. I have to split this one life between all these different things. And I think the point of life is to make sure like the split is as fulfilling as possible. And that might look differently for a lot of different people. But at the end of the day, I think that from the lesson I've learned from people in their sunset years is that work is truly not everything. So again, just to echo what this person said, work is not everything. Live your life, whatever that means to you. Also, love is never the wrong answer. I really love this. I think it could mean a lot of different things. In the most basic sense, love is never the wrong answer. I don't know one instance where love could be the wrong answer. Love is never the wrong answer. I guess I'll let that sit with you guys. With you, my friends. Okay, cool. Another person says this. This year, I learned the power of letting go. Okay. I learned that there are so many things in life that are beyond our control. Oh my gosh. Are these people talking to each other? Because didn't someone just say about like stressing over things beyond their control and how they should like not feed into that anxiety? I learned that there are so many things in life that are beyond our control, and trying to control those things can sometimes be a source of anxiety. Hello. I learned to let go of timelines and let life play itself out. Okay, person, you cooking. This is so different from giving up / not being intentional with how you live. I know by any means I have to make sure I live an intentional life, and that I have to invest time and effort in things that I want to achieve. But there are limits to how much I can control. It's a nice thing to finally find that balance. Oh, I'm so happy for this person to have found that balance. I feel like I'm still looking for that balance. Maybe you can teach us. But this is such a beautiful answer, and I think it pairs very well with the first person's answer. I think I like this part. I learned to let go of timelines and let life play itself out. Honestly, I think, again, how we are raised in a capitalist system, we have certain milestones that we must achieve, or else we're behind, or else we're not productive members of society, or else we are not. Basically, we're useless. And so I think what that means for a lot of us is that we end up with a lot of pressure to fulfill those milestones or those expectations that have been imposed on us. And for some people, those milestones make sense to them, right? For a lot of people, actually. For a lot of other people, they don't. And it can be a source of a lot of anxiety. We're told by 30, this is what you should have. But everyone's 30 doesn't look the same. Or everyone's 25. Or everyone's 40. Like, at the end of the day, it's all neither here nor there. So I really like this. And I think the person emphasizing, like, I'm not saying you should just actually yourself and not put effort towards your life. Because again, even living life and not worrying about things you can't control means that you need to be intentional. But I really like this answer. They learned how to let go of the anxiety that comes with wanting to control things that they truly can't control and lean into the process of life and letting life play itself. I really like this answer, like all the answers. So thank you for sharing. Another answer, I really love this one because it's a long one. So we're eating good today. Okay, I have learned to be okay with the discomfort of letting go. Friends, did you guys have a meeting to discuss these answers? Because why is it sounding so similar? But anyways, I have learned to be okay with the discomfort of letting go. I started the year with a lot of things mapped out. Oh my gosh, it sounds eerily similar to the last one. I started the year with a lot of things mapped out, a lot of aspirations in place, most of which did not go the way I thought. The hardest part was trusting that I will be okay without those things, and God does not take away without abundantly giving back. I remember having this job prospect that was fully in line with what I wanted to pursue, aligned with my interests and values, but I ended up not getting it even after the final rounds. I mourned that loss for a while, but decided to let it go. A few months later, things worked out a different way career-wise that positioned me better than if I had gotten that job. I am still working through a lot of losses from the year, which have touched my personal life so deeply. I can't wait to be on the other side of things. I am getting comfortable being alone and trusting myself again. I feel the difference in my confidence and my attitude navigating life. So I think I am working towards a positive direction. Overall, this year was very trying for me, and all I pray for is ease as we close it out and think about what is to come. First of all, friend, sending you all the love from a this and that. This is a very touching reflection. And I think, obviously, first of all, the reflections can look very differently depending on how your year has been. It sounds like this friend or this person has had a lot of loss this year, whether it's from a career perspective or whatever other aspects. And I think this idea of being comfortable with letting go, it's hard. It's a hard one to grasp, especially when you fix your mind. Have you guys heard, like, when people say when you apply for a job and you're already planning out the salary, you've already budgeted for next month, or you're already picking out your outfits for the first day of work? It can feel like such a blow when you don't get it. And I think from personal experience, it can feel like such a hit to your confidence, because it's like, what you trying to say about me? I'm not good enough for you guys, or what? It can feel like such a blow, like such. It definitely really affects you, especially in the job hunting process. And I think I know for a fact that this year has been really tough for people job hunting because the market is just a bit crazy. And sometimes we think that if only this one thing works out the way I wanted it to work out, boom, I'm set. My life is like good. Like, y'all are not gonna rest because the noise I will be making. I remember once I was in a situation where I had applied for a job and I really wanted this job. And everyone in my, not everyone, but a number of people knew about this job that I was applying to, and I really wanted it. And I had studied for it. I even paused my studies to prepare for this job. I was like, I'm not going to class. I don't have time for that. I'm not going to eat, because who has time for that? Going to the bathroom, again, who has time for that? I'm on a job hunt. And so I studied so hard. I did first round, I got through. Second, this job had 3 rounds, I think. First round, I got through. I even did like a test. I think there was like it was one of those jobs that there's a test or something. I did it. Second round, I got through. I was like, girl, who needs what? Because I'm about to spoil y'all. Third and final round. So I was so sure, like, girl, I'm like chilling. Y'all don't even know, whatever. And then I didn't get it. And the thing is, I think it's one of those things, you do an interview on like Friday. So you're like, okay, maybe they'll tell me on Monday. Monday comes, nothing. Tuesday comes, hello. Wednesday comes, can you guys hear me? Thursday comes, Quinny, did I give them the wrong email or the wrong number? Friday comes like, guys, are you pranking me? Are you kidding me? Hey. The next Monday comes and did they call me? They called me. By this time, I think I already knew. I just knew. I was like, but I said anyway, we serve a living God. Like, who knows? I remember exactly where I was. I was actually on the road when I got this call. So I remember they called me and they were like, hello, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, I didn't hear anything else because you just rejected me. Hey! I remember I called my mom. I was like, oh my gosh. I called my friends. I called everybody relevant. And I was just low for a while. For a long time. Like, I didn't get over this rejection for a while. Like, actually an alarming amount of time. Sometimes losses, especially when you're really banking on it, on something. And as this person says, like, when you have an aspiration of this is how my year is going to go. These are my plans for the year. And then life is like, it can feel really like you feel cheated, you feel betrayed by life. But I think the important thing is being okay with letting go is a hard thing to master. But once you realize like you're never really in control of anything, and it doesn't make it easier, to be fair, but I think it just takes time sometimes and the more you see, the more you're like, I think especially like when something else ends up working out and you're like, wow, this is probably better than I thought it would be. I think life will always have loss one way or another, but I think when we can embrace this idea that a loss of one thing does not mean all is lost, but it just means maybe that wasn't the thing for me, maybe there's something else. Could be a job, could be an opportunity, a relationship, a friendship, could be even an object, by the way. Maybe I lost my cup, but maybe I'll find another cup. I don't know. But yeah, I hope for this friend that, next year has a lot more abundance for you, and, that you get on the other side safely. Cool. Let's see another response. So this person says, for me, the biggest lesson I have learned that has been extremely life-changing was you cannot be behind in a life you have not lived before. Ooh, say it louder. Oftentimes, when someone feels like they are behind, it's because of comparison with others. But our lives are completely unique. If we have multiple lives, then that would be fair, because you'd say, in my previous life, I had a car by 20, but in this one, I don't. So I am behind on this one, but that is not the case. So I am not behind. No one ever is. We are all on our own individual paths. This is actually so beautiful. I just love the opener. Like, this person got me, boom. Like, hook, line, and sinker by the opener. You cannot be behind in a life you haven't lived before. I think going back to what we were saying about the capitalist system we live in, it's all about these milestones. Oh, and I think someone else mentioned like they're letting go of timelines and milestones and what. I think, to be fair, because it's been ingrained in us since we were young, this is how your life needs to turn out. Mind you, we haven't lived this life before. We've just internalized that this is how our lives should be. And the truth of the matter is that doesn't happen sometimes, because life is not a script that we are living by. It's not a movie we are acting that there's already a script and then you're just like saying the words. Like, life is actually happening right now. It's unfolding. The events are unfolding as we speak. As you're living life, these events are happening to you for the first time sometimes. And so even if they're happening to you for the second time, it's the first time they're happening to you in this new context. And so I think we all can benefit from being a bit kinder to ourselves, because I feel like because of the system we live in, there's all this pressure that you're supposed to get it right the first time. Why are you behind, quote unquote? I think the most important thing is to embrace your journey, is to own your journey, is to live life fully. But it's very important that we stop comparing ourselves to other people, because there is no ideal way to be human. There really isn't. There's no ideal way to live. We're all living life for the first time. And so all of us would benefit from being a bit more gracious and realize and acknowledge the fact that we're all doing this for the first time. Love that answer. Another respondent? Yes. Another respondent says, I've learned patience and got so many opportunities throughout the year to practice it. For example, being slower to react or respond, which I noticed sometimes meant learning to be comfortable with people making immediate unfavorable assumptions about you or immediately ruling you out. But the fruit of patience comes with time and tastes even sweeter than the instant gratification that we typically feel inclined or conditioned to chase. First of all, this just sounds like poetry. Like, wow. Damn. That's a word. Like, that's a bar. Like Shakespeare, where? Who is even that? Like bell hooks, I'm sorry. Did you coin this? Anyways, this is such a beautiful word. I think oftentimes, again, we feel inclined to rush, whether it's making a decision or whether it's giving a response, as is the case of this respondent, who they learned to like temper that. Whatever the case may be, I feel like also in the times and the life and the system we're living in currently, there's this pressure to constantly be on the move. What are you doing if you're not on the move? Be active. You need to be at the fore. Everything is so urgent all the time. Everything is needed now. There's so much urgency in the air, a lot of which sometimes is manufactured, to be honest. I think this is such a beautiful response. I definitely think that, as this person says, sometimes patience is not about, I like this framing of sometimes patience is not even about you waiting for something. It could be about you waiting for yourself to come around to a decision or to come around to an idea. And that might mean making people wait. And that can feel uncomfortable, because sometimes the rush or the urgency is to prevent other people from making assumptions about us or to prevent other people from discarding us. But sometimes the patience is, I'm not ready to make a decision yet. I'm not ready to give an opinion yet. I'm not ready to do something yet. Let me wait for myself. Isn't that beautiful? And just being a bit more patient with yourself, whether it's patient with other things or with yourself. Now, caveat, this might not work in the workplace. If your boss says, could you get that report to me? And you're like, let me get back to you. I need time. Might take 3 months, but I need time. Absolutely not. But I think this is very beautiful, especially when it comes to things about yourself. I think this is really beautiful. Okay. I think we have one more response. which says, this one is short and sweet. This person says that they learned, the thing they learned this year is to put myself first and love on myself. That is so cute. That is so cute. That's pretty straightforward, no explanation needed. I'm so glad this person learned this. I think for me, what I learned this year is I learned a lot of different lessons, honestly. Maybe I'll name two. One, I think I learned the power of community. And I've said this, I think, in my first video of this whole channel / podcast. I think even as we continue to witness everything that's going on in the world today, as we continue to witness genocide happening right before our eyes, as we continue to witness untold suffering in all the corners of the world, all the different parts, in our communities, in our countries, in our neighborhoods, there's so much suffering in general. And I think that the only thing that can actually get us through this suffering is community. Because again, none of us can achieve anything by ourselves. I think even as I continue to observe what's been happening in the world, I can see how organizers, whether it's like going to protest, whether it's like raising funds, whether it's raising awareness, broadcasting, I really think that community is what will save us. And I've been a personal beneficiary of the power of community. And I think the world is a better place when we embrace the healing power of community. And so for me, that was the biggest lesson this year. The second biggest lesson, or the second lesson I've had this year, is embrace the cringe. And to be honest, part of even starting this channel and podcast in the first place was just embracing the cringe, because I remember, like, I used to tell myself, oh my gosh, who wants to hear another podcast or channel? That is so cringe. And maybe it is, but I think life is a collection of so many cringe moments, and I think the cringe moments are what makes life the most interesting and beautiful. Because think about all the most beautiful things in life. It's so cringe. Think about your best friend or your partner or your job or your school, or like the thing you love most. The beginning process of any of that is always cringe. Because imagine having somebody, like seeing somebody and you want to be their friend. It's actually so cringe, like making that first move of, hey, what's your name? Do you want to grab a coffee? Or it's, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? But that's the start of something new. I truly believe that beautiful things come from cringe moments. Like all beautiful things, or most beautiful things, have cringe beginnings. And so cringe is beautiful, to be honest. And so for me, one of the biggest lessons this year has been to embrace the cringe. And what that means is just to embrace life. Because again, life is just a collection of cringe moments, and those cringe moments are what makes life beautiful. Basically, don't be too cool for life. Don't be too cool to travel. Even if it's, oh my gosh, everyone has been to that place. Maybe there's a reason everyone wants to go there. Or if it's, oh my gosh, everyone listens to that artist. I want to listen to an underground, undiscovered artist. Or everyone does that. Or again, if it's something that's not authentic to you, then, and you're living in your authentic truth, perfect. Then that's who you are. But for me, I feel like sometimes the things I want to do are the cringe things. And I want to embrace that more, because on my deathbed at 90, I want to say I truly embraced the cringe and I lived my life as I could have, like the best way I could have. And so my message to you guys into next year, embrace the cringe, start that hobby, and don't be afraid to be seen trying. Don't be afraid to be seen putting effort into something. Even though the beginnings might seem shaky, like the first time you ice skate, you might break a leg, take it from me, or a foot. Take it from me. You might fall down the first time, whatever, but literally, life is all about embracing the cringe. When a baby is starting to walk and they fall for the first time, again, we don't shame them like, oh my gosh, how could you fall? That's their first time walking. Just to echo the person who said you can't be behind in a life you haven't lived before. And that falling down is cringe, but if that baby doesn't go through that first cringe moment of trying to walk and fall, they're never gonna learn to walk. And so sometimes the only way to master the things that you want to master is to be cringe, is to stay committed, is to not be afraid of being seen trying. And that could just be the birth of a beautiful thing. So that's my lesson of the year. And as I close, even as we enter the holiday season, and this holiday season looks a lot different for a lot of different people in the world. Some people are traveling to the Bahamas. Some people are going back home to their families. Some people are under the rubble, or they don't have food, shelter, clothing. Even as we contemplate on all of that, I want to shout out a nonprofit organization that I am actually involved, or I actually support. It's called Pad Up a Girl Kenya, and it's a nonprofit dedicated to ending period poverty in Kenya by providing girls with sanitary products and ending period stigma. And this is such a great nonprofit. I contribute to them, and so this is something very dear to my heart. And one of my absolute best friends in the whole wide world is the co-founder of this. And as we enter the holiday period, no pun intended, please consider donating to Pad Up a Girl Kenya. You can either donate on Venmo or Cash App or M-Pesa for those who are in Kenya. Please donate. Please support. Check out their work. They have an Instagram page. Consider donating to them and consider joining the fight against period poverty and period stigma for young girls in Kenya. Thank you for being part of a This and That this year. Thank you for making 2023 a beautiful year for me, a year of so many wins, including a This and That. And thank you for being a watcher, a subscriber, hopefully, a follower, a sharer. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you in 2024. Happy holidays. And remember the power of community. Remember to contribute to your community, to lean into your community. And I'll see you next year. Thank you, guys. Bye.